The Obnoxious Football Fan.
Give me a screen, Corey.
Yeah! G'day wankers and welcome back to the Obnoxious Football Fan.
Welcome back to Horse Hotline. Call in if you're a fan.
Speaking of horses, what is a sport? Certainly isn't fucking dressage.
Well, there's only two types of people in the world. Horses, horse people, and motherfuckers.
Well, I was going to say, horses aren't a type of people, but I'm glad you clarified.
Horses are the worst kind of people. Makybe Diva once won Female of the Year, so she must be a person.
So did Caitlyn Jenner.
As a horse.
Oh no, one Female of the Year. Woman of the Year.
I think if you grabbed a bit down below, you'd be
Who decides this shit?
Ah,
Who comes up with this and thinks it's a good idea?
obviously someone.
Sport, not sport. Are we going to do this every week? Because I love sport, not sport. I really do.
We do sport, not sport on our program, which we can't really let loose because we're moderated by guidelines and...
The first time we did it, we got a complaint and we were tame.
Exactly. All I said was Winter Olympics are just there so white people feel relevant in sport.
No, it was old mate over here talking about ponytail.
Yeah, saying dressage isn't sport, which is 100% bang on the money. And if it
It's not a
is,
sport.
well, the person on the horse has done nothing. It's all the horse. So the horse is the athlete.
I've since changed my tune a little bit. I think maybe it is a sport. It's just fucking boring.
No, I haven't changed mine.
So just because it's boring doesn't mean it's not a sport. I think there's a degree of skill involved, and there's I don't know. I sort of like Brucey's thing. Almost everything that has subjective judging, where one person can determine that you get 10 points and another person can determine you get 9.7. I think all those things are not sport. If you can't clearly determine who the fucking winner is, then I don't know.
But what about boxing?
We've seen boxing matches, highest level, where there's been
Huge
4 or 5 point differences between the judges, and everyone's going, that's horse shit. You know, Costa Zoo, Jeff Bennick, they've all been robbed when they go and fight in Europe because the judges go get stuff. I know which way my paper bag is filled, and I know where my family lives, and so does quite a few other people who are filling that brown paper bag are. So guess what? They've been robbed. So it's horseshit. So it's
my criteria for a sport has always been, if you generally play this game with a beer in hand, it can't qualify as a sport. And that I know I always create a lot of controversy when I say, darts is fucking fun, I enjoy it, but it's not a fucking sport. It is not a sport.
Well, we need to clarify where we're going. We're going sport, pastime,
Game.
game. Yeah, okay, no worries. Because guess what? Risk is a game. It's not a fucking sport. Monopoly's not a sport.
No, it's not.
Watching fucking...
You're the world champion of Monopoly. You are not a fucking athlete.
Who's a world champion Monopoly player?
Absolutely.
There's definitely world championships.
Fuck,
Oh,
I'll
the
bet he's
chess.
proud.
Oh, yeah. Guess
Or
what?
hers, yeah, we're not going to go down that line.
Poker.
Poker is a sport.
It is.
Yep, you're an athlete.
No, it's not.
It's not a sport.
You're an athlete.
It's not a sport. My dad is not a fucking athlete.
Yeah, he is. Your dad's an absolute fucking athlete. Jesus, the shit he's been
He
through,
plays
he's still out
darts.
there playing every day.
Yeah. You can't play sport after you've had a stroke. I'm sorry. You can't.
Hang on, when we say that, we're saying a medical heart attack, not just having a stroke. Or a bat.
Yeah.
Not the China version either.
Literally had a fucking stroke on his way to a poker tournament. It's the only reason he went to
No, he had a stroke.
2 days earlier.
No, he had a stroke, played a poker tournament, went home and said, I'll go to the doctor in the morning, but I don't feel all that good. And luckily his wife. So I said, no, I'm taking you to emergency right now, because he might not have woken up. But he played a sport. It's not a fucking sport. After having a stroke.
It's one of those
It's not a
ones.
sport. can't possibly qualify.
The Olympics have got a lot to answer for because I am
Break
one of the break dance.
Any kind of dancing, not a sport.
Just because you do it on ice, it's
Water
not a
dancing
sport.
is not a sport.
No, ballroom dancing, not a sport. We do it on ice. Oh, it's an Olympic sport. Torval and Dean, most fantastic gold medal of all time. Get fucked. You are not a sport. Just because you can skate well, guess what? You want to make that a sport? Put a hockey puck out there and we stick a few people out on the rink with you as well. Let's see how good you dance here, you bastards.
I am all for combined sports. Like ice dancing and ice hockey. As long as Happy Gilmore's out there.
Fuck yeah.
I am for that. Like in basketball, where they have the NFL and baseball combined.
Wasn't
That is
it Mighty
amazing.
Ducks too, where they had an ice dancer as part of their team and did the spin? You know? was able to combine the two and get absolutely fucking nailed. It was great.
I love the commentary, the spin.
The spin. I don't know what you call it. What did
Did you just say Torval and Dean? And here they go into the spin.
He jumped up and he twirled and went between defenders. It was fucking great. But
I can't wait for Mighty Ducks 2.
it was
So
Mighty Ducks too.
Mighty Ducks 2.
It's been like Mighty Ducks 4, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Is that like Step Up?
Yeah, Charlie Sheen's the coach in the fourth one.
Is that the ice affected chocolate?
Yeah,
I can't wait to see the Ben Cousins version of that movie.
We might have to wait a bit. The recording has been postponed due to technical issues.
Ben just likes to sleep outside sometimes.
Yeah, in his car after he's crashed into a tree.
Can we just talk about this as well, just very, very quickly?
Yes.
Ben Cousins is no longer a sport related. He's what? Yeah. Why are we still reporting it? This is just. I'm done with it.
I think he's got the Guinness World Record for the most meth round-uppies and loose. So that's a sport, isn't it?
So you have to talk louder so the Facebook Live people
yeah,
hear
yeah.
what you said. Because that was great.
That's how I save myself from law firms.
I'm speaking loudly here and just saying, please, that's it, we're done. I don't want to hear any more Ben
We were
Cousins.
done a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
I know,
Baz brought it back.
But this is...
It's a tragic story.
Yes.
And I think everybody is following it, waiting for either the tragic end or the very, 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 very unlikely redemption story.
But let's be honest.
That's all people are waiting for. They're either waiting for death or they're waiting for him to turn shit around.
But
I don't think he's going to.
There's only one way he turns shit around, and I'm sorry.
By dying?
No, it's even worse. It's Jesus, and I don't want born again Ben Cousins.
Fuck, that would be awesome.
I don't want him coming and rocking up in a fucking suit, going like, "Oh, you know what?"
There's
Jesus
been times
thinks
he's
of me?"
looked like Jesus. So
You're like, "Oh, fuck me, just." Why didn't you die? Him on the morning at 5 a.m. and it's not because he's on meth, but because he's like doing a fucking parish speech. His poor fucking family. That's all I've got to say. I feel so bad for his mum and dad. I mean, they've divorced over this. His dad's still hiding his Brownlow so he doesn't fucking ram that up his ass and try to sell that for drugs. Can you imagine? Like, you'd be absolutely fucking devastated as parents and as a family, because it's not like he got brought up in a shit family or anything like that. They're the people I feel bad for. His kids and his family, not his ex-wife. I don't give a crap about her. Don't care about him. Don't care about his mates. Because obviously the people he hangs out with are probably part of the problem. But his family, his parents, they're the ones that have to deal with this. They're the ones that have to live in this fishbowl, seeing every time he stuffs up and does something wrong.
Spot on. I reckon we need to move on.
Yeah,
Like, where else we can go here?
We're going to talk Quidditch.
no, we're not going to talk Quidditch.
Who's the Australian Quidditch champion right now?
Don't even ask. Don't even answer. Anyone on the Facebook live stream, if you answer that question, we're fucking kicking you off the page. But
Seeing something else shoved up your ass.
yeah.
I just want to know. I mean,
No,
you go home to your mum and dad.
You can't let him go.
No, I can't because so when you're in high school, you do drama and shit like that. You go to school, and you go, Mum, Dad, guess what? I got the lead in the role. In Quidditch, you go home. You go, guess what, Mum and Dad? I'm the golden snitch, and I'm an athlete. And your dad.
I don't think you even understand the sport. That's...
Well, no.
You haven't watched Harry Potter?
I have watched Harry Potter, but on sport.
You can't be the golden snitch.
Yeah, they have someone who is the golden snitch.
That's
Dead set. That is how it works. Someone is a fucking golden snitch, which, you know, in some...
in jail.
In Ben Cousins' world, would be the person that gets killed. But in this one, is the person you got to catch. You imagine you're at home, and your kid comes home and goes, guess what, Dad? I've worked really, really hard. I'm an athlete. I'm a golden snitch.
And Alby, we need to go somewhere else.
You stop talking about Quidditch. No one wants to listen about Quidditch.
Suicide rates are already high enough.
Well, let's go back to something that our listeners actually care about and talk about the AFL. So, we talked about the NRL.
What sort of waffle?
We talked about the NRL, and we talked about the fact that the NRL have got a few details that they're missing. Now, the AFL, they've got a few details that they've actually announced that the NRL hasn't, such as the number of games that they expect to get played. But they don't know when they're starting yet. And they don't know how they're starting. They're talking about hubs.
Yeah, well, apparently Swan Valley is one of the hubs they're talking about. Darwin, Swan Valley, and the city of Perth.
The Northern Territory will not work. There's absolutely no way in the world they are going to let teams go up there into the possibility of it getting loose in the Indigenous community or anything like that.
100%.
The number of grounds that have got available to them, the temperature and everything else up there, it's just not going to happen.
For me, the temperature is a reason why I think Darwin can work. So the virus doesn't like heat. So doing it up in the Northern Territory, in the tropics, is somewhere that does have some validity, but...
So Alice Springs...
Well, Alice Springs gets fucking cold, don't know.
I've never been there, but they're still hot, but that's... the Northern Territory...
It's ridiculous during summer. It's worse than Perth during winter. Like, it is really cold in
I understand that, but where the AFL is probably lacking a little bit of direction, I won't say lacking direction, I think like everything previously we've seen with the AFL, they are very, very happy to throw out some stupid ideas and then take the temperature of the populace about how it's going to work, and then if there's massive backlash, they just come back and say, hey, we didn't say we were going to do that. I reckon the NRL's done that for them.
Mr. Bell?
So the NRL has chucked out what date they're going to start. So they're waiting to see what backlash the NRL cops, and then they'll announce it after that. They're letting the NRL go forward.
All right, I think we've got to retire now because we've made it. My auntie says we're hilarious, so, you know.
Fuck yeah! Where's she watching from?
From the Central Coast of New South Wales.
Oh! We've gone Eastern Coast already. Fucking out of control.
So, Auntie Bell, are you happy with your nephew's potty mouth?
Auntie Alison.
Auntie Alison.
Hey, Auntie Alison.
Yeah, she's heard it all before.
What?
You're a few wild turkeys, I'm sure, as she listens in. So
fantastic.
Loving the show. Good to see.
Yeah, well, that's good. Absolutely fantastic. We've doubled our viewership from 3 in the first one to 6. Now, speaking of AFL and the hubs, one of the other things that they have raised, which I don't know how they're going to address, but they've said we're going to hub the AFL, but we don't want families going.
Why?
How are you going to... You've already got young kids leaving home that are homesick, and now you're going to say to them, well... I mean, Tim Kelly is a perfect example. He's just gone to the West Coast because he misses his family, and his wife misses family and everything like that. But then you say to him, okay, well, you're going to go to the NT, but your missus and kids can't come with you. He's like, well, I just left Geelong because of that. like we were missing our family. So now you're going to take me away from my family, send me to the NT, and I have to be a productive AFL footballer worth the money I'm being paid.
You could have stayed at Geelong where there's a better culture.
And just very, very quickly, I want to say, any more wankers ring up radio programs and say, oh, how do you feel about, you know, the radio, you know, use guys, you only go away for 1 week at a time, players and stuff like that. How do you feel about, how would you feel if you were a mine worker or a serviceman who has to go away for 8 or 9 months at a time on a ship going serving overseas? You know, these AFL players should take 5 seconds and try and think about how they go. And you know what? Don't bring that conversation into it. That's completely and utterly different. Don't bring that tie in whatsoever, please. Just
don't mind us.
Just think about what you're talking about there when you're talking about military service and everything else like that. That's not what that's about. So just pull your head in.
Well, yeah, 100%. And secondly, they didn't sign up to the AFL to go from their families for 9 months, 12 months at a time. The same as the people who join the military generally know what they're in for. So you can't compare the two. You sign up to a job that you know is going to be a high percentage of travel, then that's it. I don't know what you're doing there.
Yeah, do you want to put your phone on there? Because
do I?
storage is full on this one.
The storage, fuck's sake. Fucking useless.
So that sort of brings us to another one with that whole situation is that where is the AFL basically? What's a hub going to look like? Because basically,
well, if they play at a Swan Valley, I mean, how does that work? How does it work out of the Swan? So we live in the Swan Valley. Anyone out there this is where we live.
We've played on the Swan Valley pitch, and all I can say is you won't be fucking bouncing it.
You're not going to be playing AFL on the Swan Valley pitch, right? Where are they playing? Where are they
They'll
playing?
be training at basketball oval. They'll be
Yeah.
training
Every team
Valley.
at the same time. Like
The Valley and Swan Ath, they've got Swan Valley and Ath Ovals, mate.
And they've got a
Fucking
fence. They've got a
train
fence.
basketball. Yeah,
They've got a fence.
train basketball, thank you.
And they've got basketball, which, you know,
No, we
once you've
play
had
basketball,
great set of rain,
Two
it
great
turns
games,
into a
yeah.
mud pit. So it'll be just like old times in Victoria.
where are they playing? Are they playing at Optus?
Collingwood will.
Collingwood will.
Look,
So they're just playing at Optus, or are they going to be playing at other domestic
I
grounds around Western
think the
Australia?
hub idea is going to be a conference, and that's going to be the main issue. There will be a 3-conference group. There will be a conference in Western Australia. There will be a conference in South Australia, and in Victoria, and there will be a conference probably in Queensland because they're trying to grow the fuck out of the game up there. And they'll leave New South Wales. They'll leave South Australia alone because the SANFL will survive without.
That doesn't really matter where they base it. To be honest, if there's no crowds, then it doesn't matter where they play it. But yeah, I don't know. I think the conference system, that is where this other idea that we haven't spoken about on this show. We've spoken about it on another show that we have, but the idea of the asterisks. You know, if you've got a conference system where you completely change the dynamic of how the competition works, does the premiership winner in that year get an asterisk next to their name and say, no, this one is not worth as much as the rest of them because everything was different?
No, I don't think so. I think they change the rules every fucking year. There's so much shit that changes in the AFL. I mean, they have a rules committee, which I think is an absolutely horrible idea because they have to change rules to make themselves relevant. At the end of the day, if you win a premiership this year, this is probably one of the hardest seasons to win a premiership unless they give it to Port because right now they're sitting number 1. That's the only way that makes this season easy. Otherwise, it's not. You still are working your ass off. You are still... You've spent the last 33 days in isolation, doing nothing, like you said, there's going to be players that come back that aren't going to be as fit as if they were still training as AFL players. And they're going to come into this competition. They're going to have to play footy. We'll probably only have 2 weeks' notice, I reckon, knowing the AFL, to get match ready to be playing footy. And they're probably only going to play about 13, 14 rounds. So there's going to be none of that. You know, if you don't start well, you're fucked.
I totally agree with you. Just for the record, I think
everyone should fucking agree with me, to be honest. But
well, let's find out. Anyone out there listening that, you know, do you have a different opinion to Alby? I know James Green does. I don't know if he's listening on this second stream, but
he gives a shit.
We know he certainly had a different opinion when we were chatting about it on Wednesday. I totally agree. I think if you're playing under the rules as they stand and you win the premiership, you deserve to win the premiership. No asterisks, no ifs, buts or maybes. You were the best team under the rules that existed. And
is there a number of games?
Oh, definitely. Like you can't finish.
It's got to play everyone once.
Yeah. So another 15 games. Another 15 games. That's it. Sorry. How many teams have we got?
We're going to go. 17 games. 16 games. Yeah, we're. It's got to have some.
You're not as good at math as Mal Meninga.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Fucking maths.
It's a theory. It's a theory.
It's a rumour, man. Like that maths. You know what? We learned the maths in school that we taught so that we believe that the world is round.
I thought it was like a frisbee.
Yeah, it is. Flat Earth, man.
We got a comment from Damo.
Do we?
Yeah, he said
straight into the fucking Essendon round robin.
Yeah, since they've already played round one, he can't see how they can possibly introduce a conference system, change the rules, etc., because the season's already started.
Good point.
It is a very good point.
We were speaking about this before. I did want to jump in about how the NRL is now dealing with their point system. How you've got people saying, "Hang on, we want to restart on zero." I reckon bullshit. I reckon
the only people who want to start on zero are the teams that didn't win.
Guess what? You're losers. You're still starting on zero and get stuff because the ones that have put the effort in, they've made the plays, they've done everything else like that. What changes when those guys ran out in the first round to when they run out the second round? When this all restarts?
Yeah.
They're still playing to win the game.
No. If I hadn't known it was a shorter season, we would have tried harder. What a fucking crock of shit. I mean, that's crap. That is exactly what these teams that have lost their first 2 games in the NRL want people to believe. That, you know, if we'd have known it was a shorter season, we would have tried harder. But bullshit. Well, you lost the game, you would have always lost the game. You get 0 points, the other team gets 2.
Titans, 100% premiership favourites before the first 2 rounds because they knew that if it was a 16-week season, they would have gotten smashed.
Going back to Damo's point, though, like...
He's right.
Well, yes and no. I think in any conference system, you can, in any singular round, play against any other team that's in that competition. So I don't know that playing one game necessarily negates that. I don't like conference systems full stop, particularly in Australian sport where we're talking about 12, 13, 14, 18 teams. When you're talking about the NFL and there's 32 teams, I don't know how many there is in baseball and basketball, but similar sorts of numbers. You're talking about 30, 40 teams in a competition. Having a conference when it's that huge, I think makes some sense. Definitely makes sense. I think it's the only way you can do it. In Australian sport, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
we're not big enough to be even considering conferences.
You'd be
and everywhere you
response that you get Gold Coast in your team. You're like, fuck yeah.
But any Australian sport that has gone down the conference route, I think it hasn't worked, and it makes fans detached from what's going on. It makes trying to work out who is leading at any given point in time.
We're not big enough.
You need a degree. Like you need a 4-year degree to work out who is going to be playing in finals because of that team's got a shit record, but because they're leading that conference, they're going to play finals?
Well, we spoke about this not long ago, where the Seahawks and the Rams played off in a conference championship to see who was going to finish top of the ladder with a 5-win record between them. And whoever won obviously got to win 6, finishes top of the ladder. 6-10 record to go to finals. When on the other side of the fence, you had I think it was the Falcons and the 49ers were on 12 wins apiece. One of them misses out, goes for wildcard round, where the other one walks in. Yeah, the Seahawks ended up walking into a final series.
I think you see it every year in the NFL. There's always
one, yeah.
What's that?
There's always one.
Yeah, there's always a conference that is shit house, and there's always another conference where every team is awesome.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll grab another, mate.
Professionalism 101.
Well, anyway, that's part of the show. It's just a bunch of dickheads drinking piss and talking shit. I think we've met the brief. I don't know if anyone out there can agree or disagree, but I think we've ticked a lot of those boxes, mate.
So just quietly.
Wait, dickheads drinking more, yeah.
You don't even have your microphone you're talking anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
How has you seen the appointment?
Thing on the fridge.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Go on.
The new appointment for the NRL. How do you think he's going to travel?
Which new appointment's that?
Fuck's sake. Can you get a real
No, it's one I got.
There's no fucking edge on it.
Yeah. I
This is
got
fucking
it.
horrible.
I got it from someone who went to Canada. And
Yeah, well,
they brought it
typically
back.
Canadians.
They obviously brought it to the airport. Thanks, Ray.
Fucking Canadians.
So
neutral, the fucks won't even open a beer.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're talking about the fact that Todd Greenberg's been given the arse.
Todd Greenberg's been given.
So he hasn't been replaced yet, but Peter Vlandis,
He's been now.
so
He's in there. There's a broadcast deal being done.
He's the commissioner.
The broadcast deal is done, which they didn't have signed off beforehand.
I don't know whether it's the best deal the NRL could have got, and I think the NRL rugby league loves to paint itself as the underdog that we're not good enough for all this sort of shit. Rugby league is the number one television sport in the country. Like in terms of crowds and memberships, all those other things, you guys with the AFL kick our ass.
Yeah, NRL did win last season. They had the highest viewership.
Yeah, so I mean, on a Saturday night, for instance, the AFL can have 6 games, the NRL can have 3, and yet have the same number of people watching as the AFL has watching 6 games. So I think the AFL stuffs up in the fact that you cannot watch every game live. I can't believe they haven't been able to work that out. There's 2 games going at the same time, whereas the NRL makes it a point that if you want to watch every single game, every single week, live, you can. And that's a fantastic thing that the NRL does where the AFL fucks up. It's one of the rare occasions where I think the AFL is missing a beat. Number one television sport in the country. We are desirable. Rugby league as a sport is desirable. People should want to be broadcasting rugby league. So I don't know why we let Channel 9, kick us around, tell us what to do, and say, we'll do this for you. If you just broadcast our game, we'll give you this. It's like, fuck off. Tell mine to take a fucking walk and let other suitors come and say, okay, we're like Channel 10.
Except for Channel 7, don't let them take that.
Channel 10 during the last broadcast deal should have got the rights. The NRL, I think, made a mistake in giving it to 9 last time the rights came up. Channel 10 were prepared to broadcast every single game on free-to-air television. They weren't prepared to pay as much as Channel 9. It was a couple of $100,000 difference.
Are you serious?
And for that, the NRL decided to go with 9 because they wanted to tick over that $1 million or $1 billion figure or whatever it was that the Channel 10 weren't prepared to go to, and they could have had every single game on free-to-air TV, and they decided to go with 9 instead.
Channel 9's not even going to be a station for much longer. I mean, they've got nothing going for them. They even lost cricket.
The NRL should have jumped in the DeLorean, gone back and had a look at what happened with the NBL. When the NBL decided, no, we're going to go away from free-to-air TV and we're going to put it all on pay TV. Have a look at what happened to that sport.
And exactly.
Have a look at what happened to that sport.
How long does it take? Like, you talk about the NBL when we were kids, and it was level pegging with the footy codes.
100%. You had the Western Warriors, the Perth Wildcats. I think there was a team called the Western Reds.
Oh, I have heard of them.
What did they do? Anyway. But yeah, that decision right there basically took eyes off TV to promote that sport, and it cost them epically.
They became a pastime.
They became irrelevant.
They became a pastime. They lost sport status.
Well,
they built up now.
You are that's where you're going.
I think we were playing, me and my mates would, on the day, this isn't like 2-3 weeks earlier, on the day, go, fuck it, let's go watch the Wildcats. And we'd rock up at the door, pay $15 and go in and watch the Wildcats play against Melbourne. Now...
This is at the Perth Entertainment Centre.
Yes, exactly. Now, 6 months, like it literally they announced the schedule. I jump on the computer 15 minutes later to organise tickets, and the best I can get for 2 people is paying $135 and I'm stuck behind a pillar and can't even see the goddamn game.
Might as well stay home and watch it on television.
The one we were
on
going
free-to-air
to...
TV?
Yeah, exactly. $15, we were going in, we were probably 5 rows from the court. When the cheerleaders started dancing around, I've got video of my mate Louis going down and dancing with them, and comes up and the security's like, mate, don't do that again. So, alright, no worries. That was it. That was all it was to it. No chance of doing that now. We're only talking 10 years ago, maybe 12.
That's an example of a sport that's basically decided we need to go in a different direction, and the direction is not about keeping eyes off our sport and behind a paywall. It's about getting eyes on the game and getting this out there so people can access the sport.
If Rugby Australia is looking for a CEO, then the current CEO of the NBL might be worth having a bit of a look at, because the job that he's been able to do with that sport to bring it back from virtually the dead has been phenomenal, and they're gaining traction every single week.
Even Todd Greenberg, like you said, I mean, the eyes he has generated on the NRL over the last couple of seasons even has been absolutely phenomenal. You're now the leading watched sport. Yes, not the most attended.
Definitely not. And that's been the big failure for Todd Greenberg. And for all the Todd Greenberg haters out there, I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that I don't think he's perfect.
No, he's not. But
his biggest failure has been in crowds. So during his time as CEO, crowds have actually got worse, which when he took over you wouldn't have thought was possible. But somehow crowds, the game day experience at a rugby league game has gone backwards, and that's concerning, because watching it on TV. You watch a Roosters game at one of those big Sydney stadiums, it looks dreadful. Looks appalling. When you look on there might be 10,000 people there, but it's in a 50, 60,000 seat stadium, and it's empty. It looks completely empty, and why are we even bothering? So the optics of having poor crowds has not been addressed at all.
With the actual number of teams that are in the league, is it the capacity to actually have a multi-purpose oval that can accommodate the number of games per round? Like in Perth, we could play the Dockers on Friday and the Eagles on Sunday. Stadium's there. How many teams are in in New South Wales.
9, I think, off the top of my head. I might be
There's
wrong.
absolutely no way in the world you're going to
Yeah,
get a world-class stadium that's going to accommodate people to go and watch the sport and to be sitting in state-of-the-art seats and get a pie and a pint and everything else like that. So you can understand how they're going to struggle to get grounds up to that level.
What
where they can actually...
It's one of the things the AFL have done is they've abandoned nostalgia and moved away from suburban grounds. Rugby league has been unable to do that.
Correct.
Rugby league fans have been unable to let go of the nostalgia of playing at grounds like Leichhardt Oval and North Sydney Oval, and they love the idea and the romance of playing at these small boutique grounds, but they neglect the fact that whenever they go there
at the sacrifice of supporter comfort and
you go to these grounds when they are full. It is a fucking nightmare to go to the toilet, to get food, to do anything other than just sit there and, I don't know, piss in your fucking pint glass because you don't want to wait to go to the toilet.
Depends. If you're drinking Great Northern, you may as well.
So,
as a West Australian, I can honestly say Subiaco. I love Subiaco.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I played junior football. I've been there in 1980s to the state games. It was a piece of shit.
Subi's
It was a
so many good
100%
memories.
piece of shit. And
That's
any redevelopment that people were talking about was misguided because we'd already seen, I can say, 3 rebuilds of that joint. Guess what? It needed to get pushed over and it needs to get rebuilt. And this stadium we've got now, location-wise, I didn't agree with it at that point in time, but if we're going to do this, it needed to be done the way it has been done.
You can see it from a long way away. It stands out. It is a statement. That Optus Stadium is one of the best things to happen to this state.
We've
since I've
done
been.
such a good job with Optus Stadium, and I completely agree with you, Brucey. I have nostalgia. Love Subiaco Oval. Have so many memories. I've ran on the stadium, played on the ground, and everything like that. But it was horrible. It took you ages to get in there. It took you ages to get out of there. I mean, we went to a waffle grand final, for God's sake. It still took us 45 minutes to get out of the bloody place. And you'd go wait on the train line, and the train line would just be absolutely buzzing. Where now, you go to the ground, if you want, you go to Cambridge afterwards and have a great time. And yeah, it's one of the best stadiums, and it deserves it.
Location-wise, I am a little bit disappointed it is still not in Subiaco because basically there's been...
But there's nothing in Subiaco.
Oh, there's
Not
heaps
anymore.
of business. There's not... No, well...
Sport-wise, let's be honest.
No, there
We
is
go
no precinct.
to the footy, and afterwards you can walk to the casino.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave Subiaco Oval and go, what am I going to do? Am I going to go check out some boutique cafe, or am I going to go to the Cass? No, I want to go to the fucking Cass.
Yeah.
I give a shit that some guy is selling coffee for fucking $7 for a small. I
Go
give a
to the
shit.
Subi Hotel. Where you
Yeah, I'm
can't
going to
get
the
a drink.
Subi Hotel. Yeah, no one gives a shit. There's nothing in Subiaco. That's why all the businesses are dying, because they've got fucking nothing there anyway. Now, it's walking distance to the casino. That's where I want to go. I'm half cut. My team just lost. I want to go throw money down on red or black and lose more money. I don't want to be going out to the fucking the witch's cauldron or something like that, going just depressed in the corner because my team got the shit kicked out of it.
Mr. Packer says thank you.
Yeah, well, I agree with Mr. Packer. That's where I want my stadium, in the middle of a fucking casino and going into the city. Not I have to get on 3 trains to get to the Cass afterwards, because by then I've half sobered up and I'm going to make stupid decisions.
I look forward to seeing what the precinct actually looks like around that area. I believe there's a lot of redevelopment going on in the East Perth. You know, you can go across the bridge on the walk, so it will get there. And you and I have both been to football in Melbourne, been on a few little junkets over there, so that precinct, everyone sort of does
Yeah, we're there
say
now.
that we need to do that, but that sort of doesn't just transplant over. So
No. The best thing about the MCG was being at an 85,000 capacity game, Collingwood versus Carlton on a Friday night. Then 5 minutes later, you're out of the stadium, you're back at your hotel. Then the next day, going to Geelong versus Hawthorn and watching a 1-point game, getting on a tram. Then 5 minutes later, you're at the casino, drinking. Amazingly, not that I did. No, you're drinking. And then you're on a tram to Etihad Stadium, which takes you 5 minutes, and we're at the Bulldogs versus St Kilda back when they were both good. And yeah, we're obviously talking a fair few years ago. And you just couldn't believe, like, the time that we spent at the casino would have been us trying to get out of fucking Subiaco.
I can honestly say this is not to do with an AFL code or a NRL code. It's Melbourne. And Melbourne is such an easy city to get around.
Because they planned it around sport, like they fucking should.
And yeah, it's a
Instead
great
of Quidditch. Like
One of the big criticisms of Sydney is that to go to sporting events in Sydney is a fucking pain in the arse to get away from them, to then get back to anywhere where there's any sort of other entertainment is dreadful, which is why they are now knocking down stadiums and people in Sydney are complaining about the cost of the rebuilding these new stadiums that are going to be state of the art and all that sort of stuff. They're complaining about this. As Western Australians, I can tell you it is worth it. It is worth spending the money to rebuild these stadiums, to make them something that is enjoyable to go to. You know, that is the key aspect, and to put them in the right places where, you know, people can enjoy sport. I think that's something that New South Wales are going to find out. All these people that are complaining about it at the moment, they're going to find out that it's well worth the cost.
My only criticism of Optus Stadium is they should have made it bigger. Plans for the future, and unfortunately our state government is very much like that, where they need to look at the next 3 years, not the next 20 years. But Optus Stadium as an 80,000 capacity, I would have been really, really happy with that. Don't bite the bullet and go straight for 100,000. That's a bit too much. But an 80,000 capacity, for one, West Coast games and derbies, 100% you are sold out every single time. Fremantle games, majority of the time you are going to be pretty alright for that. But in the next 10 years, you're going to be sitting there talking about, we're going to need to improve, we're going to need to increase this stadium. And I do blame the AFL a bit for that, where if the AFL actually came out and said, right, we're willing to send out the grand final to other teams. However, like the NFL does, this is your prerequisite. You have to have a stadium of X amount capacity. You have to have this, you have to have that. And I can guarantee you, regardless of which WA government was in charge, Labor and Liberal would be getting together and going, we're fucking doing this. And they would build a stadium that the AFL has requested. South Australia, right now, would mow down half their mothers to build a stadium that you could play the AFL Grand Final at without a fucking worry. I mean, Gold Coast probably not, because no one's going to Gold Coast.
They wouldn't know who their mothers are.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, it's like, I do blame the AFL, but at the same time I do blame WA. We could have made that stadium at least 80,000 to plan for the future.
I think Sydney probably has something that, as a hindrance that WA doesn't have. We basically pushed over a golf course to build that stadium. Okay, so I've never been to Sydney other than in transit, so I don't know if there would be an area in Sydney where you would have a greenfield site big enough to build a stadium that you could see the CBD, that you could do it. Whereas Perth, we've had the luxury of doing that. We just pushed over a golf course that tore my arsehole apart many a times with very bad scores. It's the golf course's fault, but Yeah.
Oh wait, I just talked into my beer instead of into the microphone.
I'm glad you outed yourself there because that was great.
What a great fucking show this is.
But second point there, Alby, we have the opportunity to expand. How we can do it, I don't know, but we're not going to be pushing the stadium over to open it up. I'm with you. We should have gone bigger and then wound it back. All these people are going, oh, what's it going to do for the other 6 months of the year that it's sitting idle.
Well, it's not sitting idle, though, is it?
Correct.
There's the number of events and different things that this stadium has been able to attract that never would have been.
Stop winding it back. Talk it up.
NRL
Talk it up.
actually has the biggest crowd still.
Actually, it's rugby union.
Union, sorry, is
Yeah,
it?
so the Bledisloe match actually went past the State of Origin figure.
What's Bledisloe?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
But that
I've got a DeLorean. I'll go and have a look.
That event actually got a higher crowd than the State of Origin. So the two top sporting crowd figures for Optus Stadium in Western Australia are rugby union and rugby league.
In a non-heartland state.
Exactly right. And that's the sort of thing that a quality stadium can bring.
And we can't even get an NRL team.
Yeah, well.
I love that, Donny. I reckon that is what we need. I want more sport here in WA.
Absolutely.
I want an NRL. I want the Bledisloe Cup to come over here. If let's get some Quidditch over here. Let's see what else.
It's been 33
You fucking
days.
Quidditch.
33 days without sport. I fucking don't care anymore.
No,
I just
exactly.
want to see something. I don't give a shit.
Mate, I was watching the Entrance Tigers versus Wyong Roos reserve grade game the other day because it was a sporting event where I didn't know the result, and so I sat there and I watched the entire 70 minutes because they only play 35 and a half in reserve grade on the Central Coast, just so I could get some sport. It felt like live sport. So
Yeah.
that is how desperate that I'm getting. I'm watching.
I watched the Foxtel top 50 closest matches, and the final games, like the games that were in the finals, couldn't watch because I knew
You knew the result.
I knew the results.
Yeah.
The other games, 100% glued to the TV. One of the best ones that they played was Essendon versus West Coast, where James Hird kicked the goal with about 15 seconds to go to win the match. And my brother's going, I don't think it's this one. I'm pretty sure Herb was wearing short sleeves for that. And I was like, long sleeves. And I was like, I think he was too. So we're sitting there watching it going, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And we're like, I'm biting my nails, knowing that this is a game from like 2012, still freaking out about it. I think it was 2009, sorry. Freaking out going, do we win this one? I don't remember. And someone's like, oh, I can just check Google. It's like, you're going to get glassed. Because I just wanted that feeling again, that feeling of not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah. And it's
Like an AIDS test.
Can we go to a break, please?
Well, I think we've probably only got two more things to talk about. Now, I want to completely change the topic. We've brought up the NFL a couple of times, but I think it's time we talked about the one thing that actually felt like it was a sport, and that was the NFL draft.
It was. All right, well, let's come back to that.
Yeah, let's come back
All right.
for the NFL draft with part 3.
You're listening to The Obnoxious Football Fan. We need a fresh beer, so it's time for a break.